Tassie, it's Alex from Farm Online Weather here, and it's Sunday, the 19th of July, giving you your weather update for the week ahead. All right, it is fairly wet for the west coast this week and dry on the east coast, which is not a surprise to many. Let's start off here looking at Monday. We have a trough arriving in the west coast, delivering 10 to 15 mils in local areas. We move on to Tuesday. This intensifies, bringing 15 to 25 mils. On Wednesday, a front arrives, so 25 to 50 mils is expected, but it also will increase the wind speed. Really, from Wednesday onwards, spraying conditions are pretty poor across the state. Thursday, these conditions continue. You can see the southerly winds coming through here, so it'll be quite chilly with those winds as well. Friday, it continues. We've got 25 to 50 mils again. And Saturday, it starts to dissipate a little bit as the high pressure system finally arrives through for you guys because those fronts have moved off. But a lot of that rainfall is staying because the high is very stationary, which is meaning that this low pressure and its associated front are kind of hanging around a little bit longer than they usually would. And then Sunday, again, more rainfall on that west coast. But as we can see, Hobart and the surrounding east coast is relatively dry for most days. Let's quickly have a look at the cool temperatures associated with this. We'll zoom ahead to Wednesday as that front arrives, and we can see that our minimums overnight are only 0 to 5 degrees Celsius, so they're not terribly cold. There's not a lot of associated frost or fog risk this week because there are quite strong winds coming for you across multiple days. But if we look at Thursday, as we said, when those southerly winds come, we've got widespread areas -5 to 0 degrees, so that is wide scale risk of frost and fog. Let's have a look on Friday how this develops. Yeah, not as bad. So it's mainly Thursday with those very southerly winds that's a high risk there. Let's have a look at those wind speeds. We'll zoom ahead onto Wednesday when the front arrives. Beautiful. So we can see that our gusts could be 63 to 90 kilometers an hour. That's Thursday, sorry. Let's have a look at Wednesday. A little bit lighter. So yeah, the winds build as we go into Thursday. And again, southerly strong winds. Let's see when they dissipate. Okay, cool. So we have this very strong blob that appears to track southwards. So I could definitely see that the south of the state is potentially going to gust above 90 kilometers an hour on that Thursday into the Friday night. So that's definitely something to be mindful of. Okay. All right, so it's by Saturday that the wind speeds calm down. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are our key risk days for strong winds and cold temperatures, which means that on Thursday, because of those very cold overnight temperatures and these strong winds on Thursday, this is not being my friend today, I think there's pretty high chance there will be a sheep graziers warning issued for Tasmania for Thursday. Strong winds, very cold temperatures. Currently, in terms of warnings, we do have a strong, potentially damaging surf warning along the west coast here, but as we know, that's not very well populated, and as well down in the east coast up in the sort of Binalong Bay of Fires area, almost down into Freycinet. Okay. Beautiful. So I think that's the story for Tassie this week. Let's have a quick look into Smithton, which is my city of choice, just to show that story again. And it's really that from Tuesday onwards, we have rainfall arriving. So if you're not in those local areas, you're not going to receive that strong rainfall, but it is pretty consistent and constant rain for most of the week. You can see the spraying conditions are quite poor. We'll start on Tuesday. So spraying conditions are poor, but the wind's not quite as strong, which means that we do have fog risk. But on Wednesday, the winds are starting to increase. That reduces our risk of fog. And on Thursday, we have strong winds, cold temperatures, strong winds on Friday, strong winds on Saturday, and then Sunday they seem to back off, which also increases our fog risk again. All right, so that's the story of Tassie. As we can see, a potential accumulation over 100 mils in some areas, but that's just a potential. It's likely a lot less than that. And again, it's concentrated on that west coast, and the east coast stays fairly dry. Have a great week, stay safe, and make sure to check in with that Thursday to Friday forecast to see how the wind and cold develops. All right, we'll see you next time.